I am your host, Nicole Will, and we're so happy you're here as we navigate the world with your aging loved one. We are here to come alongside older adults, family members, and the senior living community as we explore the world of aging and elder care with helpful resources, informative interviews, and approachable conversation. We get to do this together, so join us on our journey, and this is the willGather podcast. There are over 15 million wartime veterans and their spouses that are potentially eligible for veteran benefits. Unfortunately, only about 2% of the veterans are actually collecting these benefits. They do not know all that they are potentially eligible for. Today, my guest is Suzette Graham. She is the CEO and founder of Patriot Angels. They help families and veterans navigate the overwhelming and complicated process of applying for veteran benefits, aid, and attendance. And as an independent company, they are devoted to making sure veterans and families have the resources that they need. Suzette has spent many years advocating for people that need support. And with her great team, they continue to do that for veterans, families, caregivers, and senior living communities. Today, we talk about how Patriot Angels came to be, having family members that are veterans, what I wish I would have known, and who to call for help, discovering who is eligible and what various benefits are available, some of the benefits we might not think are covered, and how we work with senior living communities to support families in paying for housing. What is on the horizon for 2023 and what benefit changes have possibly taken place and where we can learn more and the many ways that Patriot Angels has impacted lives for good. Here is my interview with Suzette Graham. Suzette, it was so wonderful to meet you. We had the opportunity to meet in Nashville. We were just talking about that. And it's fun to see the impact that you've had on the lives of so many people. So thank you for being here today, and we're just going to learn even more, which I'm so thrilled about.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be on this with you today, Nicole.
Yeah, and you've got such a great team of people that surround you. I had the opportunity to spend time with Mally Covington at the Care Colloquium, which was so great. I know, we're like,
great
which
time.
conference?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we had the best time together. I think we laughed more than I've ever laughed with somebody. And then she got to share her heart and her, the stories and the work that you guys are doing, which was really fun to hear firsthand and in person. I want to hear more about that. I know you've got a history of your advocacy work that you do and a story and why you decided to start Patriot Angels. If you could share that with us, I'd love it.
I would love to, because my advocacy goes back to my mom. When we moved to Alaska, I was little, and we moved to a little town called Kenai, and there was no feeding programs there, those that just didn't have food. And so my mom did a deal with the grocery store. She would go 2 days a week and get like the bread that they were about to take down, or, things like that. And they would give her big boxes of groceries. And we would go 2 days a week to the areas of town that needed it. And man, it got to where children were running out and they were getting food from our car and stuff. And that was the beginning of my, wow, it matters to give back. And my mom did it for so long that even my children got to go do it with her. So I grew up with that as my role model. And I became the head of a foster parent organization, as well as a head of a Head Start program in Alaska. And as the head of the foster parent organization, I saw laws that needed to be changed and fixed. And so I became a self-ordained lobbyist for children's rights, and got kids out of foster care and into adoptive homes, got the laws changed, actually got the Heroism Award from the governor of Alaska. And then moved to Tennessee, and I started helping homeowners that were in foreclosure. And when they were losing their homes, we got to stop that foreclosure, and we got to help them sell their homes, because there's a lot more dignity in selling it than losing it, right? But when the market went soft and nobody was buying, I had to get a job. So I went to work for a company helping veterans, or so I thought, only to find out it was one of the ones that were just trying to find out how much money their client had so they could sell them an annuity. And though not illegal, in my opinion, not moral, because they would take every penny the client had, sell them an annuity that would lock their money up. So when they needed it, they couldn't get it back. And then these clients were having to move out of senior living rather than being able to afford to stay in because they had lost their money. And so it just so happens that the COO of Brookdale had stopped by our office and left a business card. And so I called him and I said, "Can I meet with you?" And he said, "Absolutely." So I went and met with him and I said, "The people you're allowing in your communities are there just to find out how much money your clients have. They're not actually there to help them get their benefits." And he goes, "What are you doing tomorrow?" And I said, "I'm looking for a new job. I have children to feed. And so he said, "Come back tomorrow." And I went back the next day and I met with Greg Richard, John Rios, and Ron Ayler. And they said, "Suzette, if you will start a company, Brookdale will be your first referral source." And so that's how I got my start in this industry.
We need people that will believe in what we're doing and then support us. I feel like it is such a community in this space. And so the fact that they were your cheerleaders and your referral and gave you that extra push you needed, I'm so glad that worked out. Yeah.
It was fantastic because it was a long road getting it up and running, but it was exciting at the same time.
Yeah, I have family members that were veterans. In fact, my great aunt she has a really cool story because, like, for a
Right.
woman at that time,
Sure.
I think she, right out of high school, went and served in the Coast Guard and then Strategic Air Command, ended up being corporal and overseeing all of the service clubs for the military around
That's
the world,
awesome.
which was super cool. I know she ended up working for the Department of Defense. And anyways, I loved her stories. And I feel like our family didn't really know how to help them, like, under navigating the benefit system, even what was available. So we would have given anything to be able to
Sure.
call you up. And as caregivers too, I think we don't always have the capacity to look at what's available. It feels really overwhelming because we don't know the system. How, like, who reaches out to you and who's eligible and what does that look like? What's that process?
Just first of all, less than 2% of those that are potentially eligible are getting this benefit. Okay. So that lets you know right up front, not a lot of people know about it even yet, even though we're, yelling it from the rooftops. And senior living communities will send us a client, are you a veteran or widow? And then they will give them our collateral and the client will call us. But there's so many more out there. There's 15 million veterans over the age of 65 and their widows that are potentially eligible. And so the rules are the client must have been over the age of 65, the veteran, and in need of some care. Now, whether that be a protective environment or hands-on for like bathing, dressing, transferring, things like that. Okay. And then they have to have served at least 90 days of active duty, and one of those days during a declared wartime. So right now, we're seeing a lot of Korean. And their widows, right? We still have some World War II veterans and widows. But we're seeing more and more of Vietnam coming in at a much younger age. Our average through Korea was 83, and now we're seeing Vietnam come in their 70s. So a much younger demographic coming in. And there's so many veterans and widows that are from Korea. There's about 9 million total there just from Vietnam. And then, of course, we're going into the Gulf War period. And some of them are age 65, not a lot yet, but, and that war is still considered going on until they've given it an end date of 2026. So, yeah, so there's a lot of veterans and widows out there that are potentially eligible. And we do a free pre-screening to see if they are and see, what do they need to do to get eligible. But there's just a lot out there that don't know about this, Nicole, that don't know that this help is out there. And so many veterans and their surviving spouses will stay home, feel like they can't afford the care that they need and they deserve, right? A lot of them live in HUD housing because it's cheap housing. And a lot of them are homeless because they can't afford it. And yet this pension is there to help them afford it.
Well, I'm glad that you are on a mission to let people know.
That's
And
right.
what do you think prevents people from having access to that or knowing that that's available?
So, when a veteran gets out of the military after their 4 years or 6 years, they're relatively young. Not even if they got out after 20 years, they're still only 40. They don't need it. And this is briefed over in their exit interviews, right? But nobody really retains it or remembers. And the unfortunate part is that many of them, even your local VSOs and VFWs, this is a small pension in comparison with service connected. Everybody comes out after service connected, they get some kind of injury during their military time. And that's what the majority of everybody deals with is service connected. So this is that little nuanced pension. Not many know about it, or if they don't know about it, they don't know how to file for it. Last year, Patriot Angels did 11.11% of all the approvals across the nation, nationwide. And that's with the VFW, the VSOs, the American Legions, all of that.
And do you think too that people don't really know, like you had said, okay, we don't even know all these benefits that are available. What are some of them and what are the benefits actually? And then what are ones we don't think are included that really are that would be super supportive with people that are aging and our loved ones?
Agent Orange is a big one. And now they've come out with some new presumptives. So a lot of people that were turned down before, if they have those presumptive ailments now, they can actually get approval all the way back to when they first got denied. Okay. As long as they applied before. And if they didn't, and they can still get Agent Orange. That's a service connected pension. And then, of course, the aid and attendance benefit is to help pay for their care. That's the whole point of this benefit. It's to help them pay to move into senior living and get the care they need or in-home care. And for a veteran, it's right now $2,229 a month. Every month goes straight to the veteran's bank account. It's non-taxable. They don't have to include it in their assets or income because it's a part of their pension that they earned. And for a married veteran, it's $2,642 a month. And for a widow, it's $1,432 a month. Those are new numbers. It just went up 8.7% this year. So a huge jump in benefits, and it goes a long way in helping them make that decision. Okay, mom really needs to go in senior housing. She's at that point where she's forgetting, leaving the stove on, or not eating. And so she just needs a protective environment, somebody just to make sure that she's safe, right? So, but we can't really afford it. Mom's on a limited income, on a fixed budget. She has a little bit of money in the bank, but not much. Maybe we should wait a few more years. Well, when you add $1,432 a month to her bottom line, she gets to keep her Social Security. She gets to keep her pensions. It's not like Medicaid where they take your other income from you. This is added on. And so now you can add $1,400 to her bottom line of her, say, $1,500 she brings in a month. And now she's got almost $3,000 a month to be able to get the care. And so it's a huge benefit when it's decision-making time for families.
Oh, it would be a game changer if you had that additional income to be able to put towards that. And it's so true, whether it is senior housing, whether it's supporting people living in their homes.
Right.
As you were talking, one thought I had was, and I'm just totally curious, are spouses that have been divorced, are they eligible for? No, okay.
No,
I already could see.
if they divorce the veteran, it actually cuts off benefits from that veteran.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just
Yeah.
curious because, families look so different all the time. You just never know. And then we do think of, okay, my grandfather had hearing aids covered and he would have his VA checkup. So like healthcare is still a part of that.
Sure.
And a piece of the benefit. Anything else we need to consider about what's included in that resource if we're trying to seek that out?
So there's Champ VA, there's TRICARE for Life, which is health benefits for veterans. Of course, the VA healthcare system. But the biggest pension is service connected, and then the aid and attendance, which is what we work on. We specialize in aid and attendance, but we do let clients know about the other benefits that are out there. We let them know about the Alzheimer hotline. We let them know about the VA hotline, emergency hotline. We let them know about other things, resources, like you said, hearing aids, telephones. They may need a special telephone that will actually write the conversation on the side of it. Those are eligible to veterans. So there's quite a few other benefits that, and then of course, we have partnerships with partners. If they're, let's say they are waiting on their benefits to come in, because the VA, you don't get the money until after you're already paying, right? So you got to prepay, and then the VA, it's like a reimbursement. So if they need help covering that benefit, covering their rent until then, we have resources for that. So we're resource heavy for our clients because we want to make sure that they're all getting the care that they so need and deserve.
And the coolest part, I was reading, you're independent, so you're not tied to making sure that, let's say, other invested parties are fed in that, but you're purely wanting to make sure that your veterans and their loved ones are receiving what they need, which is how it should be.
And I'm so glad you said that, because you're right. We're not bought by anybody. I own the company solely with a mission to help veterans and widows get their benefits. So we don't sell annuities. I don't try to manage your money for you. I don't try to help you with financial whatever that a lot of them do. My goal is strictly to help you get your benefits. And I'm going to do a free assessment upfront to see, are you a good candidate? I'm going to let you know, Mrs. Smith, you divorced the veteran. So at least this benefit is not something you're eligible for. There are other resources. Like I said, we're resource heavy, but as far as the advertisement piece, the aid and attendance piece, we don't push you that direction. If we know you're not a good candidate, we're not going to do that.
Yes, because you want to make sure that their time is so valuable. Yours is. Are we moving in the right direction? The work with senior living communities to support families to offer that that care, that payment, how does that come to be? Is your relationship with the senior living community? Is it with the family and then you partner with the senior living to kind of make it all happen? I know.
Actually, both.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah.
So senior living communities will hand out our collateral and say, hey, there's this company, give them a call and see if you're eligible. And so they will call us, and there's no fee to us from the community for that service. We just help their veterans get the money that they need to be able to move in to get the care that they need. And then, of course, we have word of mouth. We have a lot of word of mouth, people calling us saying, hey, my friend went through you and got approved, or my cousin. And so how do we do it? So then we will help them get this benefit so they can move wherever they want to move to, or stay home if that's their goal.
Have the autonomy of choice, I think, is what I'm passionate about. Is let's give people information to make really good informed decisions and have the choice. What if I need to move and I need that support, or if I want to be home and I'm able to do that there and have better accommodations. Are things changing for 2023? Maybe what the benefits we've been familiar with in the past, what does that look like moving forward? What are you seeing?
So there's a new PACT Act that just passed, and it's about the burn pits. So there's a lot of veterans right now that were exposed to burn pits, whether overseas or in country. And those have been there's a lot of those, right? And so now that's a new pension that is coming about. But the aid and attendance, it goes up every year with Social Security. And so does the asset limit a client can have as well. A lot of people will go, oh, I make too much money. The VA already told me I don't qualify. Well, what the VA also doesn't tell you is subtract your care from your income, and that's really what you make, right? So if you're living in a community and you bring in $2,500 a month, but your rent's $3,500, you're negative $1,000. So, those are the things we go over with each one of these clients, Nicole. We let them know, okay, now here's the rules, and here's what you need to do in order to be eligible. We don't give legal advice, but if we know what the VA rules are, so we can tell you what the VA rules are. It's up to you if you want to do it or not.
Got it. Yeah. And what is the process like? So someone calls you, you have a conversation, you kind of suss out, is this a good fit? And then I think, from the outside looking in, just even thinking about, okay, what documents do I need? How do I apply? Where do I find the info? What does that look like?
So a client will contact us and we will have a conversation. We'll ask brief questions about their service time, of course, about where are they living, what are they paying for care, and then what are their service dates. The biggest thing is service dates, right? And then once we see, okay, this seems like a good candidate, they will go to a benefit advisor who will take a deeper dive, because it's amazing how from that first conversation to the second, we found another IRA of $150,000 or something. And so we do a deeper dive. If in fact they are a good candidate for VA benefits, then we do offer them what's called a long-term care assessment. Our long-term care assessment is a 16-page assessment on things they could be eligible for, like we were talking about. And it's packed full of evidence and things that they may be eligible for. And that's where our fee comes in. They actually pay for the long-term care assessment that's done with our legal department. And that's an hour-long call. And that's $12.95. I want to tell you up front, there's a fee for our services, okay? And it's about the value, though. What we do is once they pay that, and then we'll send them a coordination agreement saying, hey, we understand you've already had your long-term care assessment. Would you like us to also file for your application for you? Yes. Okay, so now here's the documents we need you to gather. Here's what we're going to gather. And once you have those documents to us, then we're going to make the application on your behalf. You're going to sign it. We're going to submit it for you with our attorney on overseeing it. Okay. And we're going to submit it in our portal that goes straight to the VA. And we're going to stay with you until you're approved. Here's the big difference, Nicole. We call the VA every 30 days for all of our clients. Okay. We are right now 15,165 approvals, and it clicks through on our website each day with our approvals. So we call all those people, we call the VA every 30 days to say, hey, how's this claim coming along? Are we moving it forward? Because the more attention it gets, the faster it goes through, right? And so I have dedicated employees, their whole job is call the VA. That's what they do. And then we stay with the client until they're approved. Now, the VA, first thing they do is check with the IRS. Okay, all the documents we've submitted, we've made this application, it's fully developed. We have ahead of time got the client a start date. So let's say you come to us today, Nicole, and you can sign the start date form that we have. We're going to upload it. We're going to send it to the VA and say, hey, we want a February 1st start date for Nicole and her family, right? Okay, so now we're going to gather all these documents with you, Nicole. We're going to make this application, and we're going to also upload that straight to the VA, right? Now, the VA, the first thing they're going to do is check with Social Security and make sure that we put those numbers on right. And they're also going to check with the IRS to make sure that we've gathered all your documents. That's why we ask for bank statements. That's why we ask for your Social Security letter. And so they're going to check with the IRS, and the IRS may come back and go, hey, you know what? This client closed out a bank account last year. So now they're going to come back and say, we need additional information. This is where other companies can jump on. They can actually send a letter to the VA and say, we're going to appeal your decision and we want 20% of the back pay because we don't think, we don't agree with your decision, right? And then they will gather the bank statement. They will send it through an appeal process. An appeal process takes 2 to 4 years. Well, we don't do that because we think these clients need their money.
Right. We don't have the time to wait
right.
that out.
No, yeah. Right. So we just send that form and we go, hey, here's the additional information you want. We're asking for a reconsideration, and we will get them approved quickly that way. And we stay with that client throughout their life. At the end of the year, generally, the VA will send back a letter called an FTI saying, hey, you got an increase in Social Security and you didn't tell us, so we're going to quit sending you your benefit. Scares them all to death, right? They all call us. And so we do the forms for them to make sure that the VA says, okay, yes, they got a 50 cents increase in their Social Security, VA. But we're going to stay with them. Now, let's say they have to leave in-home care and go into a community. That's considered a move, and those are additional forms that have to be done. We'll do those for them, right? Let's say that the client has an increase in funds or a decrease, and they call us, we're going to take care of that for them. So we stay with our clients throughout their life, and we take care of all their steps all the way through.
Wow, what an incredible help. As you were sharing about all of the support for families, I couldn't help but think about, I've been having a lot of conversation with people about families and burnout and what we can do to alleviate some of that. And when we think of like, okay, we want to put this care team together, I think it's important for people to think outside of the typical, and you guys would absolutely be considered a vital part of a care team in that you're coming to support families as they're managing what care looks like and what resources are available, and just the fact that you can follow up on those calls and be the voice when they maybe are too tired to have one.
Right.
And just don't have the capacity to think about it. So yeah, another part of the care team. And there's that planning ahead piece. Is it something where we have to wait until our loved one, I think you had mentioned to be eligible, it was needing more support or changing that living environment? So planning ahead, is that a little bit hard to do because it has to be until that time happens?
So it depends on how far you're looking in advance, right? If you know mom's moving into a community in 6 months, then let's get started. Let's start gathering documents. Okay. These applications, Nicole, are labor heavy. They're anywhere from 50 to 150 pages before we submit them to the VA. So there's documentation we need, right? So we know you're gonna be moving in the next 6 months. Let's get started, right? But you can also go, okay, we see that down the line, these are the things that we're gonna be doing, right? We know that in a year or two, mom and dad's got to move in. Call us and let us talk to you about where you need to be, right? Where financially, do you need to be? How much money do you need to be spending on your care to be eligible for the full benefit or a partial benefit? Let us talk you through what it's going to take to get you there.
I love that, planning ahead. And it's good to know some of the timelines on that paperwork, because that, I think, helps us think ahead. Okay, I want to put this in place. How many months in advance?
Well, once the application is submitted, right now, and we track this daily, but right now we're about 97 days to approval. Okay, on an average, not all of them. We have some that take longer. We have some that are shorter. Depends on, but it's about 97 days. But one thing that we have in-house is a sister company called Angels Research. And Angels Research, a lot of times clients go, yeah, dad served, but we don't know where or when, or we don't know where his documents are. So we'll find that for them.
Oh, that's amazing.
We will, archive, fold, ancestry. We will call cemeteries and ask them to take pictures of headstones. One time we even called NASA to see when they worked there and did they know about their service time. So we will do the research to find those documents. There was a fire in the archives in 73. So we will help that family get the information so that we can recreate those documents that were burned in the fire. So, that's an important piece to these family members, is to find that documentation.
Absolutely. Mally was sharing some of those kind of life-changing stories of people that did not have access, and then you guys supported them in that. And I just love the verbal or the picture that creates, and the encouragement for families. Do you have like a favorite story that you want to share with us?
We actually just got one a couple days ago. Look at the length of this letter.
Wow.
So I won't read the whole thing.
Yeah, I'd love to hear parts of
but
that.
It was, what a perfect name Patriot Angels is for an organization. You are angels first and foremost for your patience, professionalism, and determination for seeing things through. You are also patriots for taking care of the elderly and their families who have sacrificed so much for our country. So these are so awesome to hear some of these stories. But we have got stories. One gentleman said he would go see his wife every day at a community, and she was the one in the community. He was living at home, and he would say, I would pray every time I got in my car because I didn't know if it was going to run this time. He had an old car, but I got to go see my wife every day. And he would go see her. Well, when he got approved, he sent us a card and he said, I want you to know, it's something I didn't share with you before, is I was only able to eat every third day because I wanted to make sure I had enough money to care for my wife. How is that for, oh my gosh, life-changing? And then some of the stories we hear, there was one daughter that called us and she said, I have to share my dad's story. He was a POW and he was a POW for 6 years. And so when he finally got out, one day received a telegram saying, I'm out, I'm free. The only thing that kept me going was you.
Incredible.
Those are the stories.
Yeah, you're alleviating so much, so many burdens for families. So I appreciate it. I'm so happy that our paths crossed.
Me
and
too.
I get to share with everybody what you are up to, and I appreciate it. And where can we learn more? If families have more questions, where can we direct them?
PatriotAngels.com. Just come to our website. Our 800 number is 844-757-3047. And we are here. We're happy to help. We want to make this a great experience. Obviously, customer experience matters, but we want to make sure that these families get their benefits. They've earned them. This is part of their pension package. They don't know about it, but if they served 90 active duty days, 1 day during a declared wartime, honorable discharge, then they are potentially, I always have to say potentially, eligible for this benefit. It's part of their pension package.
Thank you so much. I just appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening today. If you enjoyed our episode, please subscribe and give us 5 stars. In all honesty, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening to our episode.